Hello, good morning, and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. We have from 8:30, but that's the founding of the company, not necessarily this brand. But anyway, it's BWB Bellows, because WB is William Bellows. They got rid of the insect, just put a WB Bellows. Founded in 1830, American blended whiskey, meaning where does it come from? Somewhere in America. Probably Lawrenceburg, Indiana. So that's what it says. Bellows Blend, blended whiskey, bottled by Bellows and Company, St. Louis, Missouri. Well, it's Luxco, believe me. Okay. They're both 80-20 blends, 80% grain spirits, no odor, no color. Well, they try to make it that way. And 20% straight whiskey, aged at least 4 years. I know it's 4 years because there's no age statement. And if there's no age statement for whiskey, it has to be at least 4 years old. Now, it doesn't have to be 4 years old, but you have to put a statement. 36 months, 24 months, whatever, 2 years. Brook. It says the straight whiskeys in this product are 4 years or more old. Well, there you go, 4 years or more. Probably not more, probably 4. Kentucky blended whiskey. So where is this from? Obviously, Kentucky. That's the statement. Anytime they have that on the label, it has to originate from there. There's the inspector, the government inspector. See that? That's their calling card, this brand. None genuine without this trademark. Guardian of quality for generations. Okay, I mean, that's nice. It's inspected by the government. Unlike all the other whiskeys, which are inspected by the government. You understand what I'm saying? They're placing something on the label that is not remarkable, but it's fine, I guess. Before the 1890s, though, the whiskey wasn't inspected, and there was questions about quality. Some of it was, as they call it in England, dodgy and even dangerous. This is a Kentucky whiskey of noticeably finer taste. Oh, yeah, noticeably finer than what? Because I didn't find it tasted much different than all the rest I've tried. With a special smoothness, yeah, special, and mildness, which are the result of masterful blending. Okay, Claremont, Frankfort and Claremont, Kentucky. That's Jim Beam Company. I bought this liter bottle in Texas. It was inexpensive. I can't remember the exact price. About $7, $8. Something 49. It was either $6.49 or $8.49. But I guess I would have bought it for $8.49 because I hadn't seen it. But it wasn't much. Now, man, this thing's smudgy at the top. I'm gonna go wipe it off. Bellows. I bought this at International Market, and I think it was $8.99. Pretty sure. International Market. International Market's sort of hit or miss. Like some of their stuff is outrageously expensive, and then other products are outrageously cheap. So you got to kind of have a balancing act with them. You just, well, what did they say? Shop around. Drinking Labatt Ice now. Good ice beer, I think, says NJ 1991. Good morning to you. Well, we can't get Labatt Ice in Louisiana. Good morning, Ron. Good morning to you, Maxwell, in the Russian Federation. Well, let's get on to this. We don't want to make it long. Well, I forgot I took the tags off. I can fix that very quickly. So, SB. There we go. SB Sunnybrook. We got it. Now, with some of these whiskeys, like if I was doing King Square, you wouldn't need tags because the King Square is so light in color that you'd never confuse it to the other one with the other one. But on the other hand, you'd have to close your eyes the whole time, because if you just glanced, there would be no blind taste test. Now, is this one going to be a challenge? Yes, I should say so. It will be, because I don't think either one is going to stand out. Now, I know your attitude might be, this is a challenge of nothing. It's like low grade versus low grade, and it's not even worthwhile. I don't necessarily disagree with that, you see. And if you said to me, why are you wasting time with these low grade products? I wouldn't take issue with that. I would just say something like, well, I mean, they're cheap. I understand that. I'm just looking at them. I don't plan to be affiliating with these too much longer. I'm actually phasing out the blended, drinking them all down. And yeah, I have to buy new bottles to taste challenge, but they're all being drunk down. And then eventually it dissipate and be gone. Now with rye whiskey, I intend to keep that going, because rye whiskey is a really exciting product. These are kind of, depressing a little bit, but Sunnybrook, but they're not terrible. They're not as bad as people make them out to be, but they're certainly, well, I can't say they're not as good as people make them out to be, because I don't actually literally know of anybody who makes them out to be good. So, but they're not as bad as people claim. Now we got into a little, I didn't care, but on Alcohol Eggs, I was showing a Canadian whiskey, and somebody said, brown vodka, and I said, oh, here we go. So I said, brown vodka, when people say that, it tells me that they don't know much about vodka or whiskey, really. And he was like, dang, I wasn't trying to offend you. And I said, I wasn't offended. I wasn't offended at all. And he was saying, people in Canada say that all the time. All right, well, well, perhaps people in Canada do say brown whiskey, brown vodka a lot. I don't know. That would not indicate that they know a lot about vodka or whiskey, though, because Canadian blended whiskey is not vodka. Grain neutral spirits are not vodka. Vodka is made from them. And blended whiskey, Canadian American, generally, certainly not always, tends to follow an 80-20 blend ratio. If it's 20% straight bourbon whiskey, that's not vodka. And if you read the Tax and Trade Bureau, United States Government Tax and Trade Bureau regulations, it would be very clear to you that vodka, grain neutral spirits, and whiskey are, although related one to another, they're not the same. And so, and I said people use that as a slur. So I wasn't offended at all. He seemed to get a little offended and upset, but that's the way it goes, I guess. If you want to set a fire, you got to be able to take the heat, but a lot of people, I'm not saying Marcus is that way. I'm just saying I've run across that a lot. Fire starters, but they don't like heat. I'm thinking, why are you starting fires? But anyway, so have I done that? Start fires, so to speak, in a figurative sense? Well, sure. Can I take the heat? Yes. All right. And some things are provocative by their nature, so just discussing them is provocative. Some people are provocative just to get a rise out of people, and that's not a good thing, I don't think. Are we guilty of it? I am. I don't think it's good. Are you guilty of it? Probably. Okay. This smells like, honestly, okay, now Sunnybrook's coming from Beam-Suntory, and Bellows used to be Beam, but it was sold off to Luxco about 5 years ago, so it's coming from Luxco. Sunnybrook will win this one, you say? I don't know. I really don't know. This smells like cornbread. What about charred oak? What about vanilla? The heavy corn like you get with rye whiskeys. Bourbon whiskeys. No, it's none of those things. It's just kind of bland, distilled grain product. Like just think along the lines of a bread product, a bread-based product, because that's, to me, what it smells like. It isn't offensive. It isn't like off-putting or, terrible, but it isn't anything remarkable either. But then when you pay in these kind of low prices, you kind of expect that, and then you're not offended by it. This is very similar, but there is a slight, very slight, but there's a slight honeydew melon undertaste, which you get under aroma, which you get with Heaven Hill blended whiskeys. But I find with Heaven Hill, it's much more pronounced. And it is a little offensive. I'm not an anti-honeydew melon person, but when I'm drinking whiskey, or tasting it, because I don't really drink it, honestly. I just do these tastings. And that's the truth. People say, oh, yeah, you go off and drink it all day. I really don't. I'll just taste them. I mean, might seem silly, but it is the truth. But the Heaven Hill be kind of pronounced, and I don't like it. When I'm tasting whiskey, I really don't want to taste honeydew melon. Okay, anyway, taste time. Cheers to you all here in the morning. Oh, now, interesting. There's a shade of that. But in the flavor, you do get some charred oak. More wood than you'd expect. There's spiciness, which I am thinking is from rye. Wouldn't have much of it, but there's the sort of the cellar mold type thing. So I think this is Jim Beam Company, Sunnybrook. Now, what is Sunnybrook? Are they perhaps using Jim Beam, because that's 4-year aged, and just blending it with grain spirits and maybe some Jim Beam that didn't come out quite right, and the spirits of masking? Oh, yeah, that sounds like a perfect answer. I do think that's probably it. Zach Robinson, good morning. I like hearing people express their different opinions on topics, especially all the wonderful different selections in spirits and beers. Most excellent products, as you say. Thank you, Zach. John Smith, does Albino Rhino Beer Review or Lee Russell think you are racist? I don't think they really believe that. But some people say that because they got angry with me over other things. So, some people are kind of childish, and they'll just say things to make somebody look bad when it's not the truth, and they don't even believe it. I've always gotten along very well with Albino Rhino, by the way. And the last time I talked to him, he was very friendly. Okay, so let's not even talk about that, because we want to focus on positive things. There's enough negative things in the world, don't you think, to keep us busy all day long? But I think people join these reviews to kind of focus on positive things and get negative thoughts out of their head. We want to have a positive energy projection, so let's forget it. Heaven Hill, yeah, it's not. I don't think that was a random thought, but okay, whatever. Let's forget it. Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond is a very nice bourbon. Sadly, we don't get any Heaven Hill branded whiskeys in Louisiana except for the blended. Now it's called Heaven Hill Quality House. Is it really good? No. Is it terrible? No. It's inferior to these two, though, because I find it has that strange honeydew melon. But my friend David likes it, so. This one over here has more of a nectar, less wood, and more rye, though. Actually, more like the mentholated rye pepper. So, I think it's the Bellows. I'm not terribly confident in that. You see, these things are like when I was doing Pabst Blue Ribbon and Busch last night, Busch beer. You can think about them, break them down, twist them around, turn them around, and it doesn't really make a whole lot of difference because they're so similar that you're just dissecting little fine points. And then it comes down to really, it's not worth breaking it down that much. You just buy whatever's cheaper. And I mean, if it's a penny cheaper, just save a penny. And that's the way I approach it. These kind of things here, the labels are all drab. I have all these blended whiskeys lined up on the counter, and they're all yellow in Ecro linen. That's a type of yellow shade. They're all, I said, what is this? I was looking at that the other day. I said, what is the deal with all these bottom shelf blended whiskeys? Even Seagram 7 Crown has that linen color. They're like shades of yellow. They're so drab. They're the most unattractive liquor bottles you ever saw, to me. Now, the 7 Crown is kind of bold. I guess they spruced it up with the big red 7. But golly, I look in the kitchen, I say, this makes the kitchen look bland. It brings the kitchen down and depressing. You know, it's so drab. All this yellow, and I'm not against yellow. Hell, I got the kitchen painted yellow like a goldenrod, but golly, and it's almost like the label is reflecting what you're drinking. Drab, dull, bland, and boring. I can't explain it, but when I lined them up, it struck me. And I had never noticed that before. I said, look how bland these labels are. I'll be glad when I get through it, just because I can't stand looking at the labels. And then it's going to be on to Canadian whiskey. And you know what's coming? Crown Royal. We'll leave it at that, because that's going to, I think, generate a lot of excitement, because there's a lot of people that have a relationship with Crown Royal, you know, experience with it, and opinions, whether negative or positive. I'm sure some people are very hostile towards it. I don't really mind that, but which one of these do I prefer? Well, let's see. Heck. Neither really, but the thing about these American blended whiskeys, except for 7 Crown, that one is different. So it's like the more you sip on them, the worse they get. You know what I mean? They like deteriorate in your appreciation of them. But anyway, people are not buying them to sip like I'm doing anyway. I've talked about this endlessly. They're taking it and mixing it with Dr. Pepper and drinking it. I know that. You know that. The American people know that. These are not speculative products by any reasonable stretch of the imagination. All right. I know what they are. I know what I'm dealing with. Like, people will kind of rag on me a little bit saying, why you do those flavored things like Seagram Smash, Ice Smash, you know. I said, look, I know what I'm dealing with, you know, and they'll point out to me, hey, you know, MD 2020's bum juice and all. It's like, you're telling me what I know. I know these things already. I'm well aware of what I'm dealing with, okay? I'm not looking at it like I'm drinking, you know, some fine wine. I know. I get it. I know what I'm dealing with. I just told you I'm attracted to these odd things for almost like a perverted view of it. You know what I'm saying? It's like you know it's not good or legitimate or it's sketchy, whatever, but you say, oh, well, you know, it's sort of, there's like a perverse attraction to it. And I'll admit that, freely admit it. I'll freely admit it. Now you might say, yeah, but when you do a review, you do it straight. Like, you're just reviewing it like it's a regular product. Of course, I do it straight. And is that sort of an act? It isn't an act necessarily, no. But it's like, I think most viewers are in on it. You know what I mean? They get the joke. But some people don't, and it bothers them. Okay. I mean, these two things, it's like the same thing twice. You know what I'm saying? It's a tie. Neither one is better than the other, honestly. Maybe, and I mean maybe, this one is a little bit better. But it's so close that I would not let anything aside from price influence my decision. Would I buy these again? Are you crazy? I would never buy these on purpose except for reviews. All right, so there's no way I would. Would I recommend it? Yeah, because if you have a unusual curiosity into these type of products, then yeah, you know, you can deal with it the way I deal with it on that basis. But I'm going to say this is the Beam, which means SC, Sunny Cook. SB, I always say Sunny Cook. I don't know why, Sunny Brook. So if it says SB, I got it. No. This is the Sunny Brook. Well, it just goes to show you I couldn't tell them apart. But it didn't lose. It didn't lose. It didn't lose. It was a tie. And the price is the same, so it's a draw. Total draw. even Steven, however you want to look at it. There's nothing really more to say about it. Hey, you can like what you like. There's nothing wrong with that, right? To me, Evan Williams or yeah, Evan Williams. Oh, yes. Very pleased with that. Jesus turned water into wine. Yeah, and very good wine if you read the scripture. Isn't Evan Williams better than most starting whiskeys? I don't know, because I probably haven't tried most starting whiskeys, but it's certainly better than the ones I've tried. You know, well, I got to go. The news is on. So y'all take care now and have a great Sunday. And don't forget to watch Stout Sunday at 10:30 Eastern time on John and Neil Ace channel. Stout Sunday, y'all.